Okay, so today's project is to install the countertops in the kitchen. So, got my countertops loaded up, and now I'm heading out to Andrew's to get him to help me cut them into place because he's got the biscuit joiners and all the extra fancy tools that I need. And now for the fun part of driving. I record these every once in a while. It's kind of nice to be able to show the drive and how easy it is to use these. A lot of time people get thrown off and think that it would be difficult to drive a big bus like this. However, one thing that I would strongly recommend is when you have a big RV like this is don't take it down gravel roads. I thought I could take a shortcut and cross country on it, and it was like washboard, and I felt like I was gonna vibrate the thing apart. So take a little bit of longer way around and just get there in one piece. Okay, so for today's project, we need to install the countertop. Christy and I decided that we were going to do a butcher block countertop and install that in the kitchen to make it match so that it still has the woodsy feel, farmhouse feel, and it should be fairly easy. And more importantly, it'll sustain vibrations and stuff better. Now, so here's the countertop. And with this countertop being right here, from here to there, was 40 inches, I believe. And the biggest countertop that we could find in width was 25 inches. So what we have to do is we bought two 96 by 25 inch countertops, and then we're going to cut one with a strip down here, and then the rest will come out to the front. As with most of my projects, I have one idea for how I want to do something and how I think it needs to be done. And then after doing a little bit of research or looking around, I find that there's a better way or a different way to be able to do something. So for the countertop, my original plan was to use a router and get a plunge router with a bearing on the bottom so I could trace the countertop. So what I would do is install the countertop on top full without any cutouts cut out, and then cut around the existing cabinets with the plunge router to trace the countertop. I ended up doing a test run with it, and it was really difficult to get it to line up quite right, and it was also very difficult or very easy to have it go squirrely and get away on you. So what we ended up deciding doing was to use this Festool track saw. So what you do is you put down this metal track, and then the saw follows the track perfectly. So you trace out your lines, offset it by 1/8 of an inch, and then push the saw forward, and it perfectly lines up with everything, making you have a nice straight cut without having to use like a table saw. This worked beautifully, except since it's a round blade, you can't get perfectly into the corners. So we cut this out, bringing it right to the inside corners of all of our patterns, and then used a jigsaw to finish that up. Here's a little bit better angle so you can see what we're talking about. You can see the line just to the left of the Festool guide, and then the saw just follows the track. The track has kind of rubber pads on the bottom so it doesn't move around when you're pushing it. It stays exactly where you want it to. And you get a nice straight, clean cut. And yes, I know you probably shouldn't get on top of the table. I'm sorry about the bad angle here, but we needed to cut the last cut, and I would have been stretching over top of the countertop that I was cutting, so I just got on top of the table to make the final cut. Now here you can see the first piece of the countertop that goes in. It's just a straight board across, and now you can see my awesome multi-cut board coming in to fit around the countertop, and as always, it was a perfect fit. Not always. I screw up my cuts 9 times out of 10, it seems, and when things start to go right, I start to think that other things are going to go wrong. Okay, so countertop is all cut, got all the angles done, measured out right, and I didn't screw anything up, which is really surprising. So now what we're going to do is cut biscuits into the edge, combining the two so that it doesn't ever come apart. So I completely forgot to film us cutting the biscuits, so here's us jumping ahead to Andrew cutting the sinkhole for the kitchen sink. And here is some sparks because we forgot to take a screw out. And here's where I realized that I didn't turn on the mic when I recorded the end of the video to show the finished product. So I'm Sterling. I'm an idiot, and I'm talking at the camera but not recording anything. As you can see here, the countertop looks fantastic. That stripe down the middle is where we had to combine the two countertops, so sand it down to make it flush, but I think it turns out awesome. We'll stain that, you won't be able to tell at all, and all in all, great project.